Is it just me, or do you find that you question yourself and end up beating yourself up over one thing or another? Or compare yourself badly to somebody else? If you do, then this video may well be worth watching, as it doesn't have to be that way. And I'm going to share some ways I've learnt to reframe the way I think that you may be able to use. We talk to ourselves all the time, but we don't realise we're doing it. And most of the time, it's not in a good way. We look at the world around us and we compare ourselves and tell ourselves that we're not as good as them. And what we say to ourselves is counterproductive because it doesn't help. It just makes us feel worse. Most of us look at ourselves negatively and it takes over. I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm no good, nothing ever goes right for me, and on and on and on. And we wonder why we feel so miserable. But it doesn't have to be that way. I've lost everything I've worked for twice in my life. We were almost made homeless. We lived on beans on toast for 18 months in order to feed the kids properly. So I know what it's like to beat myself up on a regular basis. However, over the years I've learned some ways to stop myself from falling into that pit of depression. It doesn't mean I've found a way to stop myself doing it altogether though. I've just learned some ways to help me not to let the feelings of doubt and gloom overtake me. The change started years ago when I read a book called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter. In the book, he covered why we do what we do, how we're conditioned to think negatively as we grow older, and over the course of the book he helped me understand why I was doing it and how I could get back more control over the way I thought. He talked about techniques that could help me to overcome the way I looked at myself and to help me feel better about me. The book seemed to make a lot of sense. Was it life-changing? No. What it did do though was show me that I didn't have to feel the way I did about myself. I still found myself talking myself down and gradually started to take control of my thinking and started to replace the negative self-talk with better kind of self-talk that helped me to overcome my fears and made me feel better about me. And it was in the reframing of how I thought that I discovered I could change the way I saw the world and my place in it. Don't think I'm Mr. Positive all the time, because I'm not, and I do still get down. I've just realised that the way I look at situations can be changed, and in doing so I can change how I feel about me. The first thing I do is to put a time limit on how I'm going to let myself beat myself up over whatever it is. Let me give you a recent example of my YouTube channel. I've recently started comparing myself to a fellow YouTube creator who, even though he only started his channel 3 months ago, already has over 41,000 followers, whereas I have nearer to 160. I started watching his videos and saw how smooth he was as a presenter, how calm he appeared, how authoritative he seemed, and I started comparing him to me. I started seeing all my faults and how I didn't compare to him and how I wasn't as interesting as him. I checked out his video views and saw that his videos were getting between 3,000 and 11,000 views, but one had 823,000 views that had caused his tremendous growth. And then I looked at my stats and saw that my best view was only 963 and my most recent video had tanked. I even went and posted on a creators Facebook group about it and had a little pity party at 7 in the morning. Once I thought about how I felt and how I was reacting, I decided I needed to put my big man pants on and do something about it. I decided to give myself until 11 AM to feel sorry for myself and then get it out of my system. And from 11, I was going to change the way I looked at it and find the positive in the situation. An hour later, I updated my post saying that I was thinking about it and I'd realised that I was just in a learning curve and that the other creator was in a different position to me. I discovered that he already had 2 other channels, that he had in fact been creating and posting content for over 4 years. And all of a sudden I realised we're different people, we're on different paths, and the only journey I could do anything about is my own. And I thought that if I was in a room speaking to 963 people who watched my most watched video, then that would be pretty good. All of a sudden, I was feeling better about myself. And then I remembered that most of all, I'm still enjoying this process of all the things that I'm learning as I produce more videos. I can see the improvement from my first video back in March, and that raised my spirits. And although my most recent video is by far the least watched of all my videos and is performing poorly against all the others, at the same stage, it doesn't matter because it added a new subscriber and I received a comment that said the viewer loved my wise words. And so, by reframing the way I looked at the situation, I started to look for the positive and I found it. Just because we get down on ourselves and see our situation negatively, it doesn't mean that it's negative. And by reframing the way we look at the situation, we can change the way we see it and how we see ourselves as well. It's a subtle thing, and yet it can make an enormous difference. So the next time you're berating yourself for not being good enough, decide that you're going to allow yourself to feel sorry for yourself just for a short amount of time. And then tell yourself that the pity party is over and actively start to change the way you think about it. Change the scenario to see it in a different way. Look for different views on where you find yourself and how you see yourself. Remember your good points because you have plenty. And then look for steps to change things. Because you really are better than you think you are. Because what you say when you talk to yourself can and will make a difference if you start to accentuate the positive. And if you look up there, I'll tell you how you can make someone else feel better too. See you next time.